Money on my mind. Money on my mind. I got money on my mind. I got money on my mind. Yes, sir. It's your boy, man. Got nothing but money on your mind. Go tell somebody your boy is on, man. And we hit you upside the head with a brand new tough cookie. We're talking about the 5 ways to build wealth, man, and getting wealth into the hands of the ones who need it most, man, which are my people, your people, our people, man. So go tell somebody, man. HerbMan is on, and we coming with a heavy, brand new presentation for you guys, giving you the 5 top ways HerbMan will recommend you try to start building your wealth from where you are at right now. And you can do that. Don't let nobody else tell you anything different. Now, I know a lot of you guys have come to the site. You guys know about velocity banking. You know about how important credit is. Okay, but we're going to talk about some other ways for you to build wealth as well, man. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get into it. And let me share my screen, man. Yes, sir. All right. So you guys should be seeing everything here. Let me know if you're not. Okay. 5 ways to build wealth. If you guys don't know, we also too have a Twitter. It's at LoveHerbMan. Okay. At LoveHerbMan. LoveHerbMan. I'm sorry. LoveHerbMan. All right. So go there and follow me there, man. And so it's just another way for you guys to follow us, man. So what are the 5 ways to build wealth? And when we're talking about wealth, what are we talking about initially? Are we talking about money? Are we talking about something that is short term, something that that we just have to go and look at right now? Or are we talking about something that I have to plan for, something that I got to understand that may be for the long haul? And so for you guys that don't know, wealth is a thing that you have to plan for the long haul, okay? For the long haul. Now, what is my number one way of encouraging wealth growth? You got to start your own business. Bottom line is that the number one way to build wealth is creating business for yourself, being an entrepreneur, okay? There's no greater satisfaction than being an expert or professional, or even if you're not, but just still being able to have the aptitude to create something, to provide a service for others is a great way to build wealth. And it is so satisfying to know that you have done it on your own. It comes from your own intuition and juices, okay? And it's just something about being the boss, okay? It's something about, running your own thing and knowing exactly the ins and outs of it. It's your creation, it's your baby, so to speak. So that is always going to be encouraged. That is always going to be the number one way to building wealth, okay? So you guys out there that are having business aspirations, that have creative ideas, go ahead and write out a plan for the whole shebang of what it is that you're trying to at least start up. Now, I don't say do the whole shebang of the whole, like you should just have the whole idea of where it's going to go. Okay, you don't necessarily need to have the whole idea of what something is going to do and how it's going to do. All you need to do is at least have the skill of the service that you're trying to provide. So that's pretty much it from the beginning, is literally having that skill set. After that, you can gain the marketing tools and you can gain the knowledge as far as growing it in other ways, okay? Now, the number two way is investing in real estate. Now, what we're talking about here is not owning your own home. We're not talking about per se individual home ownership. What we're talking about is you owning houses and you're making people, or you are allowing people to pay your mortgage on those homes. See, what we're talking about is buying homes. The person who buys make more than the person who sells. I'll say that again. The person who buys makes more on the deal than the individual who sells. Now you would say, well, I don't understand that. Well, you got to think about it. If you're buying something at a particular price, and it may not necessarily be worth that particular price you bought it for. Let's say is you bought it for a good deal, and so you may have made more because you could do certain things with that particular property to make even more money than what you actually bought it for. Okay, so the buyer tends to be the one that makes the bigger deal, or the bigger money, than the seller. But again, this is about buying homes and allowing others to pay off the mortgage on those particular properties. And when you're talking about that, then you're talking about this being a very, very, very important way of building wealth. And trust me, guys, getting into this particular real estate thing is not as hard as it seems, and it's not as easy as it seems. But I'm pretty sure that people that are getting into this, man, are being able to fly like eagles, so you can too. All right, so do the research, understand how to get into it. What are the nuts and bolts? You get very, very good tax incentives when you are a real estate investor. Okay, and so again, this is not about home ownership as far as your home, but this is about owning houses and allowing them to bring you passive income that will substantiate your journey to building wealth. All right, now what is the third thing here? And this is a very important one as well. And so when I say that people can do this where you are, oh, of course we have some things in here for you, you know. So I know people would say, well, he said you can start where you at. I ain't got no money for a business. I ain't got no money for real estate. Well, again, that if you go to the Velocity Banking videos, which we'll leave a link in this video for, then you'll understand how to build credit to get the money that you need. Okay. But if you can't do that, if you feel like that is just out of your league, of building your credit is going to take long, well, here you can do the 3% rule. Okay, but you still need to pay yourself, and you still need to start an investment fund account for yourself. It is very, very critical that you guys start a savings or some type of way of building capital. Y'all got to start that. You cannot keep living off check to check or from Peter to Paul. You just can't do it like that. So you have to have some method of put back, some method of store away. Okay. And the reason why is because we all know you're going to need it. Every time you try to do something, every time something happens, what happens? Something happens. Well, if you try to get this particular amount of money, your tie busts, okay, and it has a knack of taking away $200-300 from that little $500 you just got saved up, or you just did the $1,000 and then you know, somebody needs something for school, or something happens where you got to go do this or that for your house or something like that. The AC breaks down. So we know what life does, but again, it is still very critical that you pay yourself. So here I gave you a formula that even if you did $2,000 a month, if you made $2,000 a month income, which most of us primarily do, okay, because the average household income makes about $5,000. All right, so I've made it really, really low ball right here for just to let you see what could happen. All right, so now for a person just only making $2,000 income, right? If you stay with the 3% rule, meaning that you're going to take out monthly a 3% deduction from that monthly income, and you're going to put it back into a saving. And so for this, that's only $60. And you're like, man, what I'm gonna do with $60? Okay, but when the next month comes, you add that $60 to the 2,000, because the only thing changing is the money and your monthly income. The 3% never changes. So now when you come the next month, you add the 60 to the 2,000 and you take out 3% of that. When you come the next month, you add the 120, 128 to the 2,000 and you take out the 3% of that number. So you keep adding your savings into your monthly income, And then whatever number you come up with, you take 3% out of that again and again and again. And what'll happen, you'll see even for a income like this, that over a 2-year span, you'll have over $5,000. Now, if you make more than that, then it'll be more than that. Okay, so you have to work with percentages and work with ways to pay yourself off. Make sure that you literally get the first cut. All right, and this could be one of your methods or one of your rule of thumbs for continuing to build your way towards your wealth. And even if you just do this, like I said, just for a savings, if if you're not talking about real estate or anything like this could really get out of hand over a course of time. So, just doing it that way is a self-sufficient way of putting back some money. Okay, you don't have to go through the banks, and you don't have to go through the credit unions, and you don't have to deal with credit cards if you don't want to. But that don't mean you still don't learn how to put back some money, how to save, and that don't mean that the end result still remains that you got to have startup capital to do any of the things that you want to do, whether that be business, investing, or anything. That's still going to remain, although you may not want credit for yourself. You still got to get over that hurdle. And here's some of the ways that you can do that. So we definitely got to take these things in consideration. All right. Now, number 4 is the market. Now, this is for people who may be a little bit more seasoned and already have maybe some strategies of investing and already know about real estate. They may already be an entrepreneur-minded individual. They may already have a 401k or have some kind of knowledge of stocks and the market and things of that nature, being on a job for an amount of years and having to go over their portfolio or something like that. You may have a general idea, but whomever you are, wherever you come from, and what level you are on, when you get to a certain point in trying to build wealth, this is going to become one of the things that you're going to need to know, and that is the market. Okay. All big, wealthy individuals have to be pulling some kind of income from the market. The reason why is because the market yields very, very good returns. All right. Now, I love dividend growth things, but that is for more short-term individuals, more people who kind of want to get a check in the mail, things of that nature, but you got to continue to stay on it. But for these, if you're just talking about the stock market itself, then these are the things that I recommend you understand about the market. And that is oil and gas rig developers. Now, I'm not talking about your gas stations here, okay? Although they may be pretty big companies, we're talking about the ones who dig for the gas, okay? There's a lot of different developers. You can just go on some of these websites and Google oil gas rig developers, the ones that are digging in the ground. You invest in those. They have so many projects that they have going on, and I think the minimum may be $10,000 investment, but a lot of those could yield you very, very good dividends. Okay, but everything in the market is going to be a risk, so always do this at your own risk. Now, the other one is the medical companies, right? So the medical industry as a whole will always be a great market to invest in, to understand, whether that be medical companies or whether that be medical equipment, hospitals, whatever, however, anything medical, look into it, whether that be pharmaceuticals, you look into it, but anything medical is going to be great. Now, when we're talking about food as well, most things food is going to be great. When we're talking about food manufacturing companies, Kraft, and all these different places, they're going to be great investments for you to look into. Okay, U.S. Foods, and I mean all these big places, not necessarily Kraft, I'm sorry, but U.S. Foods and Food Express, and just all these big manufacturers and distributors of food. That's the companies that you want to look for when you're trying to invest. All right. But even companies like Kraft, they may be okay. You just have to look. Now, for basic need companies, these are going to be your companies like your detergent companies, like Clorox, tissue companies, Johnson & Johnson, diaper companies. I haven't really had a small one in a long time, but Loves and places like that. Yeah, man, those are great investments. Why? Because as long as there's going to be humans, there's going to be a need for these things. And so these are always going to be great investments. Okay, so the market is going to be number 4 way of building wealth. Okay. All right, now what's the number 5 way? This is going to surprise a lot of you guys out there, but it's side hustling. Now, I ain't talking about the side hustling that, you know, some of us may know when dealing with, let's say, unlawful products, but we're talking about side hustling with the legit things. And one of the biggest legit things right now, especially in the day and age of technology, is individuals who can learn tech skills, and they have a great opportunity. I'm talking about a great opportunity at advancing their wealth and side hustles in the tech industry. Because here's the thing, people, businesses need mobile apps. Okay, everybody's going toward the mobile apps. I don't know if you noticed this, but they're going to be delivering almost everything in a second here. All right, so everything going toward mobile apps because everybody has a cell phone. So look, even if you wanted to start freelancing in this particular sector, all you really have to do is get with a particular team of people. You get the business to your team, let your team build the apps, and you continue to do the marketing through social media about the fact that you can freelance mobile apps. So it's not necessarily a skill that you necessarily have to do as far as being the one that know how to do it now, although that is a very good skill to have. But even if you could build that type of team and you are a great marketer, especially on the social media scale, and be able to you know, market your abilities and how you're able to build these things for corporations and businesses, especially small business owners, as well as medium and large size companies that are moving toward this era. This is a great flourishing opportunity for those that understand that. And also too, consulting. All right, that's when you become an expert at something. All right, and then you're starting to consult people, individuals, business owners, corporations about directions and methods to make their practices better, to make their businesses better and grow. And so this is a very plentiful area for a lot of us that want to continue to add to our portfolio and continue to push wealth into the next generation. These are the things that you're going to have to do. Remember that when you're trying to build wealth, you pretty much, it's never ending. You are walking and talking brand. You go to sleep branded, you wake up branded. And so you have to understand, what are you going to be into on an everyday basis is going to be important. Everything you attach yourself to is going to be very important. So you want to be able to have a few things that you're linked to, and collaborations is never a bad thing. And so always having a few different ways and avenues for you to get money and for you to be attached to things are great wealth building assets and skills, people. So please understand that. And this is my number 5 way. And the question is, are you a hustler? Because you're going to have to if you're talking about building wealth. Now, I wanted to put this up here just to let you know what wealth is. Wealth is not necessarily all to do with money. Okay? Wealth is the accumulation of savings, property, and investments. And so that's why it's so important to have a savings plan like a 3% rule or velocity banking, or it's so important to have property like velocity banking, taking you into real estate investments, or learning how to utilize home equity lines of credit to flip houses and to get more houses, and to continue on building a property portfolio, or learning the stock market and understanding dividend growth investments versus regular stocks, okay, and bonds, and understanding the graduation and getting into gold and silver, and getting into, like I said, oil and gas rigs instead of just the gas stations, and you know, getting into Forex even, and understand the foreign exchange market. These are all things that can very much help one get into the avenue of, or the highway of riches or building wealth. And so the thing about all of these things is they all pay you. They're mostly all passive. They all come to you with little or less to do other than to gain the knowledge of how to get cash flow. And so that's why, again, I'm going to, I always direct you guys back to velocity banking or understanding the 3% rule so that you can start there first. You have to start with building your cash flow, building your capital. And then once you do that, you have to know exactly what you're going to do. So again, the first thing is to have the idea. Secondly, start building your capital. Third, when you get the capital, is start the initiation. Start the initiation of what it is that you're trying to do so that you can get to where you're trying to go, man. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of what it's all about when we're talking about building wealth. Again, I want to thank all you guys for your support, and I want to continue to put quality information out. If you guys have any suggestions, please leave comments in the inbox. Let me know. If you guys got any things about you, what you want me to do a video on, if you want me to do a presentation on it, let me know. This is your one-stop shop for health and wealth management strategies. So I want to be there for you, and I always want to be making sure I'm putting out content that you guys want and need. Especially when it comes to this wealth thing, man, because I know it's very, very important for all of us. And especially, when you're coming from a place that I've come from, poor and just don't have no idea about what to do with money. I never really had a problem with getting a job, but I can definitely tell you that I've always had a problem with keeping money. So although you can get job and although you can, be working on the job, it doesn't necessarily mean you have the ability to keep money. And a lot of times when things happen, I always was out of money, although I had a job. Or a lot of times when I needed a particular amount of money to do what I needed to do, I never had it, but I could still go to work the next day. But it didn't mean that I could go and buy a car. I can get on the bus, but I couldn't buy a car. I needed a car. See what I'm saying? But I got a job. So, you try to make do. So I had to understand that it wasn't about having a job, more or less. It was about how smart you're going to be with what you have coming in. And when I learned that is when things begin to start changing. I began to start learning particular strategies and initiatives. I started putting credit initiative in really quick. And one suggestion that I would give you guys before closing here is, if you guys got young kids, start them off at 15, 16 years old. I think it start off at 16. Give them a secured visa. Secured visa, put about $300 to $500 on there and pay it off for them until they get 18. And then that way, they start off with A1 credit, and at least they have a little money, irregardless of even if you don't have the money for them, at least they have a little something to start off on to be able to get to where they got to get to. Even if it's nothing but $10,000 or $20,000 credit limit, it's still enough for them to be able to decide what they want to do without having to just shoot out there and go straight to some job or straight to some school without all of the things that you need necessary. Okay, so that's just a tad bit tip for you guys, man. But I want to thank all of you guys for continuing to tune in, like I said, man. And this has been the episode of 5 Ways to Build Your Wealth. All right, till next time, I'm your homie HerbMan. I love you guys, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Peace. Yes, sir.